Are you watching the videos?
Yes, sir.
Because I can see if somebody's watching. I can't see who's watching, but I can see there was like 4 views or 3 views, like that.
Yes, sir.
And you have to watch it over and over again in order for you to understand it,
Yes, sir.
especially this. Okay, so some Zoe got right, some Hannah got right. This is just all the ones that you got wrong. So when we look at this number, we have to rearrange it, or at this expression, we have to rearrange it from highest to lowest power. I've done some of them partly, so to save us some time. So I need to look at the factors of 14 and the factors of 4. This is what I have here. We have 114, 27, 1422. We have to subtract to get 1. So the only way in which to get that is this will give me 7 times 1 is 7, 2 times 4 is 8, 7 and 8, the difference is 1. But positive 1, that means that this here, let's use a different pen, this here will give me minus 7a, and this here will give me 8a. And if I add those two, I'll get my 1a. So the smaller one, the smaller product here must be negative. And unfortunately, if you get one of them wrong, all of them will be wrong. This one you can swap around if you like, but you don't have to. We only need to consider the factors of 21. Here's a 1 in front here, or minus 1, so I don't have to worry about that. So I look at 21, 1 and 21, 3 and 7. I just put a 1 and 1 here, and that 1 and 1 is from the one that's in front of the x squared. It's really a minus 1 and 1. So we have to find the difference of 7. If I multiply these two, I'll get minus 7x, and if I multiply those two, I'll get 3x. The difference there, minus 7 plus 3 will give me the minus 4. So this part that I'm doing in black here is just to confirm that I've picked the right combinations. Then with this one, we need to look at 4. So I have 1, 4, 2, 2. We look at 9. I have 1, 9, 3, 3. We need to find the sum of minus 13. That means that we're going to add. 4 times 1 is 4, 1 times 9 is 9, 4 plus 9 is 13. And in order to get that, I'm multiplying these two, so that gives me minus 1xy, and these two will give me, okay, something is wrong here. Oh no, this is 4, my mistake. Minus 4, and this is minus 9xy. The sum of minus 4 and minus 9 is indeed minus 13. So you don't have to do the black part when you do this in an exam. This is just to check. 11.3. The first issue with this is it's not arranged from highest to lowest power. So there's my x squared. I have to move the minus 7 here and the minus 10 to the back. Now I need to look at the factors of 12, and as you can see I have 112, 2, 6, 3, 4. And the factors of 10, 1, 10, 2, 5. I have to subtract to get 7. So 4 times 2 is 8, 3 times 5 is 15. The difference between 15 and 8 is going to give us minus 7. So over here I'll have 8x, and over here we'll have minus 15x. The difference there is the minus 7x. So does the video help you if you check it again?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Because you see the same thing. Maybe you've missed it the first time, but once you see it the second time, it helps. 11.5. You tried something here. If my highest power has a negative in front, I remove a negative as a common factor. That is an important one to do. Otherwise, you'll be stuck with negatives in here in the first one. That will make it extremely difficult to factorize. So I remove a negative as a common factor, but I also remove x because there's an x cubed, x squared, and a single x. So I'm removing x as a common factor. So the minus x stays in front. Now I only have to consider the expression inside the green bracket. So the factors of 6, 1, 6, 2, 3. The factors of 5, 1 and 5 are the only ones, only integer ones. We have to add to get to 7. So 3 times 1, okay, something is wrong. Oh, that must be a minus. This is a mistake. This must be a minus. That is minus 10. I don't know, I just copied it incorrectly. That must be a minus. Because I removed the negative as a common factor. And we're subtracting to get to minus 7. So over here, you will see that we have 3x, and over here we'll have minus 10. It's the difference between the two is minus 7x. Are we getting this?
Yes, sir.
Oh, like this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, 11.6. With this one, you guys, both of you, multiplied right through with 3. You cannot. Because you don't have an other side. So I'm removing a third as a common factor, as you can see there. I think this part in blue is what you got on your paper anyhow, but you lost the third that was in front. And then the rest is easy because we only have to look at the factors of 27, and if we add them, will give us 12, 3, and 9. With this one, tricky because we're not used to deal with fractions, but in this case we're dealing with a fraction of a quarter, and the only way for a quarter to give us 1, if we add that, is the factors of a half and a half. A half times a half is a quarter, or minus a half times minus a half is a quarter, minus a half plus minus a half will give you minus 1, so that is my answer.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
We've done a similar one
Yes.
when you guys were here. I don't know if it was even this one. I think it was this one, but I can't remember. But it looked familiar when I did it on the board again. Then 11.9, the same here, I removed a half as a common factor. I can't multiply by 2 because multiplying this by 2 will change it, so I'm removing half as a common factor. This side, this inside the bracket, this is what you guys got as well. Then you can see we have a 1 in front here, so it's only 1 and 1 that we can use. This is why I'm using a 1y, or minus 1y, and minus 1y, and this is my final answer. But it's always tricky when there is a fraction to be removed. Because fractions are just one of the things that seems to mess with your minds. 11.10, this one quite a bit. Both of you multiply this out, but not both of you got this right. Remember that if I multiply this out, it's not just the power that we multiply in. The bracket is there twice. And if the bracket is squared, the bracket is there twice. So this part here, this is that, and then became that. And only now do I multiply the 3 into the bracket. And by doing so, changing the value of each term on the inside of the bracket. Over here, I've multiplied in the 16. And then once I've simplified all of this, this is what I got in the end. There is a different way to do this, which is way more difficult, but the next one was like that, and that one we couldn't multiply out. And then I need to look at the factors of 3, which will only be 1 and 3, and the factors of 8, 1 and 8, and 2 and 4. We need to find a difference that will give us 10. So 3 times 2 is 6. No, this is wrong. That is minus 6, that's minus 10. I must subtract to get to 10. Okay, that is 12. That is wrong. What I have here is wrong. I must pick something different. Because this, what I have here is minus 6, minus 4 will give me a minus 10. We're not looking for a minus 10, we're looking for a plus 10. And then my answer would be this one, because that will give us 12. And this one, and that will give me 2. The difference between 12 and 2 will be 10. So this one here is completely wrong. So the correct answer would then be so the 3 is multiplied to the 2, so the 2 goes here, and the 4 goes there. No. I'm looking at the green one again, sorry. My mistake. The 3 is multiplied to the 4, so the 4 goes here. The 2 there. This must be the +1, and that must be the -1. Okay, there we go. So I did not make this mistake on purpose. This was really an honest mistake, but you can see how easy it is to see one. And you know what is the sad part about this? That if I pick the wrong one here, that's one I was automatically wrong as well, because they work as pairs now. So if you have the wrong one in the wrong, and this is what I have done incorrectly. So just learn from my mistake here. Any questions?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay, this one, it's not this one I'm referring to. There's a common factor here of, let me just get different color. A common factor of 3 of A. So there's an A, there's an A, and there's an A. So I remove the A, and that is in front now. So once the A is out, I have a 3 that I have to consider. That's why I have the factors of 3 over here. And I have a 4 to consider. That's why I have the factors of 4 over here. And then 3 times 4 is 12, and 1 times 1 is 1. The difference between 12 and 1 is going to give us 11. So just to do this again, there's minus 12 xy, and over here we have 1 xy. The difference is indeed going to be minus 11. So please go and watch this video again.
Yes, sir.
Because we're moving away from this now. We're going to algebraic fractions, where you need factorization, but it doesn't look like this. And then this one is something completely different to what you have done now. So you cannot multiply it out. Well, you can, but it will not help you. So you can see I've arranged it from highest power. There's my squared, there's my single power, and there's my x. The difference between this and what you've done up to now is that we have a whole bracket to consider. So this whole bracket goes in here. And it goes in here. That is why this one is so much more difficult than what we are used to. We have to look at the factors of 8, 1 and 8, 2 and 4. That will give us a difference of a sum of 6 rather. And there's the sum of 6 is 2. The signs must be the same, so both negative. And you see, this is the thing that you don't, you will not get it. Not that easily. Okay, so to rewrite it without the brackets on the inside, 3x minus y minus 2, 3x minus y minus 4. So this one will definitely be a level 4 question. One of those last ones that is there just to upset the person's whole appetite. And it upset both your appetites.
Yes, sir.
When you get something like this, most probably, but it's not something that you will run into regularly. Okay, and then we get to this. Have you done this in school yet?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Have you? One said no, one said yes.
Yes, yes,
Ah,
yes, sir.
when did you do this?
In a week, last
Okay, so this is just to refresh your memory. Cool. So a difference and the sum of 2 cubes. In the past we had to look for a difference of 2 squares, now a difference of 2 cubes. To factorize this, we will have a bracket containing a binomial, 2 terms, and another bracket containing a trinomial, 3 terms. Can you remember how to do this?
plus minus plus.
Okay,
And negative and positive in the second line.
so this one is going to be negative. So when we start with a negative, that's a negative. What is the cube root of x to the power of 3? What is the cube root of this number? We divide the power by 3. So if you divide 3 by 3, what will you get? 1. So that means that you will have x and y over there. So in the first bracket, we use the same sign. Negative, negative. Cube root of the first number, cube root of the second number. If we have the sum of two cubes, it's the same. The first bracket is positive. Do you need a tissue?
No, I don't think so.
So if it's a difference of two cubes, we start with the cube root of that number minus the cube root of the other number. Okay, now the second bracket, and this is where you normally make the mistakes. Check. We square the first number. We square the last number. That's always positive because a negative squared is positive. And then the middle one is you multiply these two to each other, but with opposite sign. So x times minus y is minus xy. That becomes plus xy. I think this is what you were thinking. Minus plus plus.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, just to repeat. The first one here is that one squared. The last one is that one squared. The middle one is the one where you make a mistake. You always get that one wrong. It is this one times that one, but the sign is opposite.
Oh,
So if I use that same analogy in the one here at the bottom, this would be x squared and y squared. Then we multiply these two to each other. X times y is xy, but opposite sign. So that means minus xy. You must just not remember. You must not remember just for now. You must just remember this for everywhere, for always.
yes.
Are you going to?
Yes.
No, you're lying. You're lying. Okay, are you done with this?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to do a few examples just to make sure. Okay, here's the first one. So that is 12.3 on your pages. You will see that I'm going to give you pages with two more things on it, so you can keep that one, but the new one will just have 2 more exercises with it. Okay, so let's do this one together. I know the first bracket is going to have a binomial. Binomial means what? How many 2 terms? Trinomial means 3. No, tri means 3. Nomial means term. So what is the cube root of x cubed? Is x, same sign. What is the cube root of 8?
2.
2, indeed. So now my first bracket is done. Okay, check second bracket. Check. We square the first one, so that means that the x becomes squared. We square the last one. And then what do we do for the middle one? We multiply these two to each other, but change the sign. So minus 2 times x is minus 2x, so that means it becomes plus 2x. If this was a plus, how will my answer be different? What will be different here? That will be a plus, eh?
Yes, sir.
And this will be a minus. The last one always stays the same. Good.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's go to this one. Now I want you to try that. Tell me what you got. 125, 8 to the power of 6, minus 512, y to the power of 3. Try it, and then I will do it with you.
Thank you. So much is like a cube root of 125.
You should. So what is the cube root of 125? 5. What is the cube root of 8 to the power of 6? The power is divided by what? 3.
So it's 2.
So it's 2, so that is a squared. What comes here? Positive or minus? Minus or plus? A negative. What is the cube root of 512? Check.
8.
Do you know how to calculate cube root?
Yes, sir.
I think it's that shift button,
Yes, sir.
one on top there. So if I go with this, it looks, no, not like that one. So it gives you, why not?
8, 6, 8.
I don't know why, shift. Oh well, seems to me that mine will not, oh there we go. 512. But you know that your calculator can do any root now. Do you know that? 10th root.
Yes, sir.
So if you want to calculate a 10th root, you have to use this button.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so shift, and then that one, then it opens up one there, let's say the 10th root, and the 10th root of 152, and then that is my answer. Because your calculator, you can do the cube root there as well. So what's the cube root of 512, you said?
8.
8. And the cube root of y cubed is y. So our first bracket is obviously the backbone of this, because I'm going to square that and square that to get to the next one. Okay, here's second bracket. If I square 5, what will I get?
25.
25. And if I square a squared, a to the power of 4. And if I square 8, 64 y squared, so plus 64 y squared. And now the middle term. Now I have to multiply these two to each other. 5 times 8 is 40. So that would be 40 a squared y. Not 4, but 40. Did you get 40 as well? Or what, am I too fast here? Let me do this. Let me just rewrite this because I'm making a mess here. I can't see what I wrote. Let's just start over. Is this one squared? The last one squared? Now the middle one. I'm multiplying these two. Minus 8 times 5 will give me minus 40, but we know we have to go with opposite sign. So that's minus 40. A squared y. Tricky. Tricky.
Yes, sir.
Maths is tricky. Okay, I don't know if we should, before we do this one, I think that was let's go with this one first. This is 1210 on your page. What is the first thing we have to check when we do factorization? What is the first thing?
The powers.
No. Okay, well, rearrange from highest to lowest, I agree, but before that, highest common factor. Highest common factor. What is the highest common factor between the two terms? 5. So I remove 5 as a common factor. That goes to the front, x to the power of 9 minus 1. If I remove 5 as a common factor out of two terms, I still have two terms inside the bracket. This 5 is going to stay here. But that's a difference of 2 cubes now. So what's going to happen to the first one? I have to divide the power by 3. What is 9 divided by 3? 3. So this is x to the power of, and the cube root of 1 is 1. The square root of 1 is 1. The 10th root of 1 is still 1. Okay, that's our first bracket. Second bracket, we square this one. So x to the power of 6. We square the last one. So that becomes plus 1. Now we need to multiply these two to each other and change the sign. Minus 1 times x cubed is minus x cubed or minus 1x cubed, but we know the sign must be opposite. This is always the one that catches out a person. Any questions here?
No, sir.
Okay, now I'm going back to this one that is, I think, of the more difficult ones. And this one will catch you out. So we have a bracket cubed plus a bracket cubed, two different brackets. The key here is this is showing me that this is a difference or sum of two cubes. So you can see there's your cube and there's your cube. Now I'm just going to, don't write this down, I'm just going to show you something. If I had a cubed plus b cubed, don't write this down. But instead of a, I now have, let me rather do this. If I factorize this, I will get a plus b. Is it not?
Yes.
Cube root of a, cube root of a cubed, cube root of a. This one would be a squared minus ab plus b squared. Is it not? That you're familiar with. So instead of having an a or a b, we now have a whole bracket. So this whole bracket must go, is going to be there and there. That means that that whole bracket is going to be here, and this whole bracket is going to be there. So where the a was, we'll have the first bracket, and where the b was, we'll have the second bracket. Okay, let's try and keep this together. So here is my a value, so that is 3x minus y plus 3x plus y. Again, I'm going to write it because I'm writing two, I will not have enough space. So that is my first bracket. I've calculated the cube root plus the other cube root. Now we're going to the bigger bracket. This is the one where we're going to have the trinomial. You always have your telemarketers calling you any hour of the day. So what do we do for the first one here? We square the first one. So that will be 3x. Maybe I should use different pen here. 3x minus y squared. It's this one squared. Then that one squared, 3x plus y. And then the middle one is we're multiplying these two to each other. Check the board. So we'll have a negative here, and this one times that one, so that will be 3x minus y and 3x plus y. Let me just make this smaller. 3x minus y, 3x plus y. Can you see why this would also be considered a level 4 question? Because it's so easy to get confused here. Now we have to simplify each one. I'm going to simplify the blue one first. So this is 3x minus y plus 3x plus y. I'm just removing the brackets on the inside. Then going to the red one, I'm going to take a shortcut here. Instead of writing this bracket twice, I'm just going to multiply it out. So that is minus 6xy plus y squared. This is for the first one here. So that one is this one now. Now we're going to multiply out these two, but note that I'm going to leave this, keep this in a bracket still, because there's a negative on the outside that needs to be multiplied in. This is like a difference of 2 squares. So that one looks like that. This is what we have here now. That one is this one. And then we have the last one. And that is going to be plus 9x squared plus 6xy plus y squared. And this is a mouthful, is it not?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now we can simplify more. 3x plus 3x is going to give us 6x. Minus y plus y, the y's are gone, so we'll only be leaving, we will only have a 6x in front. Now we have a 9x squared minus 9x squared, so that is gone. So I'm only left with a 9x squared over there. Here's a minus 6xy plus 6xy, they will cancel out. There's a y squared and a y squared. This is also a plus y squared, so that will be plus 3y squared. Can you see that there's a 3 in here? What do you want to ask?
I just want to ask, can you explain the second bracket again?
This one,
By the red one, sir.
the red one.
Yes.
How I got from there to there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is, I wrote out the brackets twice up here. So if I multiply out this bracket, I will have 9x squared minus 3xy, which will be minus 6xy. And the y squared, the minus y times minus y will be plus y squared. The middle bracket will be 3x times 3x is 9x squared, and minus y times y is minus y squared. If I multiply these two to each other, and those two, they are additive converses, so there will be no xy in the center. Same over here, it's 3x is 9x squared. Then that times the y on this side will give me 3xy. Another 3xy will be 6xy, and then the y will be a y squared. So I really took a shortcut. So to go from here to here, here's a 9x squared. If I multiply that minus in there, which I will do, that will give me minus 9x squared, so that 9x squared is gone, only that one is left. Minus 6xy plus 6xy, that's going to cancel out each other. A negative times a negative is a positive, so that's a positive y squared plus another y squared plus another one. That's how I got to 3y squared. But then there's a 3 left inside this bracket as a common factor, so I'm going to remove that as well. So you can see the 3 is the one that I took out there. You can have it between the two brackets, but it's better to have it right in front. Okay, now I'm going to give you the follow-up to that. So you will see that we have questions 13, 14, and 15 is additional to the page that you have. So the rest doesn't change, it's just those are extra. And we're going to do those algebraic fractions. Have you done them in school yet?
Yes, sir.
The fractions.
We started today.
Okay, cool, then we're on par. So it's this. There are 3 things that you need to do here. Okay, write algebraic expressions on top. There are 3 things that you need to do here. First one is factorize. I don't know if you were told this, I'm telling you now, factorize. So the first thing that you need to look at is how can you factorize the fractions. What is the second thing? Factorize. What is the third thing? Factorize. So you need to factorize everything that you think can be factorized. So really, when you see an algebraic expression, think of what I said, factorize, factorize, factorize. Just factorize until you can't anymore. Then we start cancelling out. Are you going to remember this?
Yes, sir.
No, you're lying.
No, sir.
Can you remember what you had for breakfast this morning?
I didn't have breakfast, sir.
Oh, and you?
I am sitting.
Oh, that's easy to remember then. So let's do this. Let's factorize. There's your first one, 13.3. So we just look at the top part. How can we factorize the top part? What is the highest common factor that we can remove
So
here?
did you say 6 divided by 3? No, it's 3x.
It's 3x. Okay, listen. I know what you want to do. Now this is set up so that you are, the trap is set for you because you think that the 3x and the 3x can cancel out, or that the 3x can divide in there. How many fractions do we have here? It's now combined as one, but we really have that over this and that over that. So we cannot cancel out just one of them. Look at this. 3 plus 2 over 3. If you simplify that, what is your answer?
6 over 3.
She says 1. You say 6 over 3. Not any of you. Check your calculator. Stop scaring me here.
5 over 3.
5 over 3. Your calculator does not cancel that out because it can't be cancelled out. Now it's more than one term. So that's why we can't do it here. So this is going to be 5 over 3, and that is the only answer that you can get here. So if we cannot add or subtract what's on top, that's where we see if we can factorize. So don't cancel out. Do not cancel out. Is that clear? You're going to do it because it's so tempting. So how do we factorize that? What is the common factor here?
3x.
3x. So now we have to check what is left.
3x squared.
No, 3x times what will give me 6x? 3 times what will give me 6?
2.
2. And we short an x there as well. The 3x divides into the minus 3x minus 1 times. And the 3x at the bottom is still the 3x at the bottom. So what have we done here with the factorizing is we've made the two terms one term. And now and only now these two can cancel out each other.
Oh.
We cannot cancel it out, one of them. We remove it as a common factor and then we cancel it out. Now, if you just cancel the 3x with the 3x or the 3x with the minus 6x, you are cancelling the 3 into there and not into that one. And you know that cannot work. And then what is left here is our answer as 2x minus 1. So what is the key? What I showed you on this page. You need to factorize. If you don't factorize, you're going to set yourself up with a trap that you will not be sure what you are doing. So when you get to these fractions, you should see, okay, we have algebraic fractions, factorize. Cool, let's go with that one. And what do we need to do?
Factorize.
Factorize. Okay, the top one is clearly what kind of factorization are we going to do on top? How many terms do we have there? 3. So that means that's a trinomial. So I need to look at the factors of 1. What are the factors of 1? 1 and 1. So that's all we can use here. There's nothing else. And if we add 1 and 1, we'll get the 2. So that means that the top part here can be factorized to become 2 brackets, x plus 1 and x plus 1. What's going to happen at the bottom?
It's going to be x. Right?
Is there a common
X.
factor? No, can't be x cubed, we're not multiplying. What is the common factor at the bottom?
X.
X is the common factor, I need to factorize. So that is x plus 1. So I've removed x as a common factor. That leaves me with x plus 1 inside the bracket. So now we've done the factorization. That means that this bracket cancels with that bracket, or with this one, but not with both. So the same bracket on top cancels the same bracket at the bottom. And then that leaves us with x plus 1 over x. And these two x's cannot cancel out each other because we have more than one term, so that is your answer. Did I mark any of your pages? You just see I mark on your page. Yours? I have, yeah. Maybe you can rather have that one. So what is the key here? Factorize, factorize, factorize. Okay, let's go to this one. This is a lot to take in. Make sure that you copy it correctly. You can check in on the paper if you think I've made a mistake here. It looks difficult.
It does.
And there's a lot going on here. But let's just break it down into pieces that we can manage. Let's just look at the top part here. How many terms do we have?
3, sir.
3, so that's a trinomial. You can see that one is very similar to what we have here. So that's going to be a minus 1 and a minus 1. So it's the factors of 1 that if we add them will give us minus 2. Signs must be the same, both negative. Okay, this one at the bottom here is exactly the same as the previous one. That would be a plus 1 and a plus 1. You see we're factorizing.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this a here we can't do anything with that, so that a remains an a. What do we have on top here? How can we factorize that? Difference of what? 2 squares. So I'm going to go with a minus 1 and a plus 1. Now let's look at the final fraction here. Can I remove a common factor on top?
Yes, sir.
Of what?
A.
A. Can I remove a common factor at the bottom?
Yes, sir.
What is it?
A.
A again. Now with this, you have already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 marks. So your first step is all the factorization. That is why it's so crucial that you can factorize. Okay, let's see what can cancel out now. Here's an a plus 1, and I'm cancelling it with that a plus 1. Here's another a plus 1 that I can cancel with. I can only cancel out things that are identical. I can cancel out this a minus 1 with that a minus 1. These two a's will cancel out each other. Can you see? Then we're done with that. So all that is left will be these two brackets and that one. When you do this cancelling out in a test or an exam, rather do it with a pencil, otherwise it looks like you're scratching it out and then the person marking it can't see what you've done there.
Yes.
Okay, so that leaves us with a minus 1 squared, because it's the same bracket, over a. So I'm not saying this is easy, but the factorization is not difficult, that you can do. So we do the factorization and then, so this will count for 6 marks. Your final answer is 1 mark. You're going to get 5 marks just doing the correct factorization. That's why we spend so much time teaching you to factorize. Any questions with this?
No, sir.
Okay, here's another one that looks similar. This is number 14.6. And you can see that in my first step here, I have changed the divisions into multiplications.
Yes, sir.
What do we do then with the fraction?
No.
Uh-huh. So if we change the division into a multiplication, we need to swap the numerator and the denominator.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's start here from the front. Can we factorize that?
No, sir.
Check difference. 2 squares. This. What does that become?
4x.
No. Check. How did we factorize this one?
Oh, difference of 2 squares.
Yes. So how?
X minus 2.
There we go. And
X minus 2.
so what about the x at the bottom here? Well, nothing. It's going to stay here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now we're on to this one. Now, check this. The x was at the bottom, but since we've changed the division into multiplication, the x is going to be on top now. How will we factorize the bottom part? What is the common factor there?
X minus 2 and
No common factor. Between 2 and 8, what is the number that can divide? It's 2. So that leaves us with x squared minus 4. Can you see what we have here? A difference of 2 squares again, same as that one here. But we're going to do that in the next step. Okay, over here, the x at the bottom ends up on top. How can we factorize the top part there? Between 4 and 2, what can I remove as a common factor?
2.
2. And between x cubed and x squared,
X.
the lowest power is the highest common factor. So that means x squared. And that leaves us with 2x minus 1. That was a lot. Again, the factorizing here will give you 1, 2, 3 marks. The fact that you knew to change the division into multiplication, a 4th mark. We still need to factorize this though. So I'm just going to rewrite everything the same as what it was here. Oh, well, I'm not going to rewrite, I'm going to cheat. Like that. Life's unfair now, because you can't do that. So the only thing that's going to change is this. So to what is that going to change?
Difference of 2 squares.
Difference of 2 squares, I agree with you. I'm just going to do it in different colors so that you can see what happened here. You're telling me we're going to have more rain after this weekend. Or raining. The rain is nice.
Yes, sir.
Girls, can you see that all the factorization was done now? Everything is done.
Yes, sir.
Now we can start cancelling out. I'm going to use a highlighter pen again just to make it easy for you to see what can cancel with what. This x here cancels with that x. This x here cancels the 1x there, so we're still left with the x at the bottom. Now let's look at the brackets. Here's the x minus 2, and there's the x minus 2. Here's the x plus 2, and the x plus 2. The rest can't do anything. We can't do anything with the rest. So on top, we have, it seems that we have nothing left. Check. There's nothing left on top, but it's not nothing left. We really have 1 times 1 times 1 times 1. So that means 1 on top. So there's the 1 that we have on top. And at the bottom, we have a 2 and a 2x, so that will give us 4x, as well as that bracket there, 2x minus 1. I'm not saying this is easy, it's far from easy. But you can see if you can factorize, you're going to get the majority of the marks. Because the factorizing was all of this. But then you must make sure that you can actually do factorizing properly. I would like you to do the following for when you know when. I don't have to explain that to you again. Okay, number 13.1. So I'm just going to mark those that we have not done now. 13.1, 13.2, 13.4, 13.5. We have done 13.3 and 13.6. Then in number 14, 14.1, 14.2, 14.3, and 14.5. That's that. Can't do the 15 yet because I haven't explained any of that to you. So once we're done with this whole, well, next week we will be done. Then I'll make sure that you get a memo of all of this as well, so that you have something to give.
Okay,
Okay, ladies, that is that for today.
so